Good morning to all of you. Wonderful to be here, and wow, look at all the faces. Thankfully happy faces, accepting faces. Thank you. Well, my name is Gordon Green. As you heard, I'm the Acting National Ministries leader for South Africa and the MD for Southern Africa, acting. And we have a map for you, for those who don't know where South Africa is, at the tip of Africa. And I think that the churches in Southern Africa are the furthest from headquarters, furthest from Glendora. I would like to begin by briefly mentioning some of our challenges, some of the challenges we face in Southern Africa and the ministries we have. But first of all, I start with South Africa. Because of the serious financial situation in our country, many members are finding it difficult to make ends meet and to attend church regularly. We have 24 congregations, 24 churches, of which half are house churches. And so we try to have church services in areas where the members are living. Some of the bigger churches are helping the churches in need. All of our pastors are bivocational, and quite a few of them have retired, and others are semi-retired, but they are still very active in their church areas. One of our challenges is to find leaders to take over from these senior pastors. And we have been encouraging the senior pastors to mentor the younger leaders. We have a number of ministries. I'll go through them quickly, then I'll spend some time on them. Then we have obviously the SEPs, the Summer Enrichment Program, and then we also have a ministerial training program, women's ministry, children's ministry. And this is a picture, a photograph of where we have our SEP program. This is our church site called Lingalonga. And over the years, our SEP, the camps have changed their focus. In the past, we used to have young people, youth, who attend GCI. But we found that now SEP is more of an outreach. Many youth who attend our camps are orphans or attend our churches on their own without their parents. And so we have to sponsor many of the children. And this is the highlight of the year, you could say, for our youth. There's another picture, the Spiritual Enrichment Program. We also have a youth ministry, and the youth in GCI are very, very involved in our Sunday services. We have encouraged the pastors to make them a part of the services, which they are doing. We also have a program called MTP, which stands for Ministries Training Program. And it started about 5 years ago as a training program for our potential leaders and future elders. And we used to meet twice a year, but we found that with our limited budget, the cost of transport and hall hire, it was just far too expensive to continue doing that. And so now what we do is we have regional meetings in our homes and different people's homes, which are recorded for the rest of the country, and of course also available online. But as the years went by, we found that, we realized that MTP is a valuable tool for equipping our pastors, our elders, our leaders, to be grounded in the essential doctrines and the essential GCI doctrines, and also for keeping everyone on the same page. So last year, I just got to slide here. There we are, Pastors Conference. This was last year, 2016. But the reason why I'm showing that is because last year, 7 of our MTP students graduated and 5 were ordained as elders. They received their diplomas, their certificates at this Pastors Conference. We also have a women's ministry, and every year, and we have a retreat, a women's retreat, and this year we were blessed to have Tammy Tkach and also Sheila Graham as guests. Children's ministry. This ministry has really blossomed over the last 2 years. Perhaps one reason is we have a VBS, Vocational Bible School, and this is held during the first 4 days of SEP. Media, we have a magazine called Face to Face. We still print it, although it's becoming more and more expensive for us. We print 4 copies a year, which is mainly for our members. All right, let's move on now. I'm very aware of our time. To Mozambique. Let's move on to Southern Africa. That was South Africa very quickly. Southern Africa, there's a map for you of Mozambique. Mozambique is on the east coast of Africa, bordering South Africa in the northeast. And one of our senior pastors in South Africa, his name is Caleb Makela. And together with Tim Maguire, he has been involved mainly in 2 projects in Mozambique. The first project was in 2012, when Caleb spent 4 months teaching the Mozambique pastor Emmanuel how to speak, read, and write English. Caleb definitely has a gift in this. He has a passion for teaching our brothers and sisters in Mozambique. And Caleb also taught South African songs to a group of young people aged between about 7 to 16. And they would then present these songs as special music at church, and the congregation loved that. And during this time, he also gave pastoral training for GCI pastors. Now, the second project that we had last year was when Caleb went to teach again, Pastor Emmanuel, he went to teach him to drive a car. And during this time, they traveled over 1,000 kilometers visiting GCI members in 11 different countries of the 4 provinces. Excuse me. Emmanuel ended up driving very well. Now, some of you may have contributed to a goat project, but unfortunately this failed because of drought, theft, and sickness. Mozambique is not an easy country in which to operate. And the few goats that were left were sold, and the money was used for their Easter conference. Also, I have a picture here of a well. 2 wells were dug by hand at the Mozambique NML's premises and at the church site. Both are around about 8 meters deep. So we have the picture of the well. And then these are the happy children drinking the water from the well. These children, really, these people have very little, almost nothing. But look at their faces. Look how happy they are. What I'd like to do now, I think I have one more picture. Yeah, you may recognize a gentleman there on the right. What I'd like to do is read to you a report that Caleb Makela sent to me about the most recent trip that they had into Mozambique. So these are the words of Caleb. He said, in April this year, Tim Maguire, David Botha, some know David Botha as David Botha, is also known as David Botha. But we'll say Botha for you, for your sake at this time. So he says, in April this year, Tim Maguire, David Botha, and I, that's Caleb, embarked on the 1,280-mile journey. Did you hear that? 1,280-mile journey through the bush, through the African jungles, with a Land Rover and a double cab Mazda from Johannesburg, South Africa to Morambala, a very small village in central Mozambique. We were pulling a drilling rig for drilling wells in some of the villages where we have GCI members. We also plan to do ministry training for our pastors during their Easter conference. 3 days into our journey, and before we got to Morambala, tragedy struck. As we were working on the rig, the trailer collapsed onto Tim's leg. And that was the end of our drilling project. And David rushed, if you can use the word rushed, because the roads are shocking. So David rushed Tim to the nearest hospital while I, that's Caleb, followed in the other vehicle, minus the rig. This trip lasted 6 hours due to appalling road conditions coupled with some roadworks. And the doctor advised Tim that it would be better to return to South Africa for treatment. And so Tim flew back to South Africa the following morning. And here we have a picture of Tim in the hospital. But he's doing much better than that now. He's slowly recovering. But there were more setbacks. Remember, I said Mozambique is an extremely different country and difficult country in which to operate. On the way back, on my way back, it's Caleb, the following day, about 50 miles from Beira Airport, the vehicle broke down in the middle of nowhere. So all you see around you are trees and bush. We later discovered that the engine timing mechanism was broken, and I spent the afternoon and night on the road and in the morning. Can you imagine on the road by yourself or with somebody else? No one else around for hundreds of miles. In the morning, the vehicle was towed to a mechanic who tried in vain to fix it. Fortunately, there is a GCI church in that area, and the pastor accommodated me that night. David returned and towed me back, but on the way there, David's vehicle also started giving problems. So another setback, another obstacle, another complication, another challenge. Finally, we limped back to our lodgings, having left my broken vehicle with a long-time acquaintance along the road. Caleb continues, Pastor Emmanuel had joined us by now, and after getting our limping Land Rover repaired, we proceeded to Morambala for a pastor's conference where I, Caleb, conducted the pastor's training and also 2 weddings. All right, there are 2 weddings that he conducted. First of all, the wedding of the national leader, Pastor Mariano, and also that of senior pastor Emmanuel. The 3 days ended with baptisms, a church service, Bible distribution, and certificates. There you have the Bibles, and many thanks, a big thank you to all of those who contributed. After the pastor training, I joined up with David, who had eventually got the Mazda fixed, and after 2 days of traveling and a few more breakdowns on the way, we managed to get back into South Africa. All right, let's move on. This is Mauritius. Mauritius is a beautiful island in the Indian Ocean. You can see the arrows pointing to this tiny island. It has stunning beaches, that's Mauritius, and beautiful scenery. Actually, Mark Twain once visited Mauritius. He actually went to Mauritius. And Mark Twain said, Mauritius was made first and then heaven. And he continued, and heaven was copied after Mauritius. I like that. Mauritius is a 4-hour flight from South Africa. We have about 35 passionate members who have for many years been faithful to GCI. Sadly, one of our young pastors, Benedict Muto, lost his wife, Mary Joyce, to cancer this year. Although they are far from other GCI congregations, they are strong in the faith, a wonderful group of people. By the way, my lovely wife, Maralise, was born in Mauritius. and lived there for 21 years. And perhaps you noticed that she has that island look about her. All right, let's move quickly here. Wow, time is moving by. Namibia. Namibia, we have projects there. Namibia is in the southwest of Africa and borders South Africa. Tim Maguire and Johannes Maria visited GCI congregations there. Johannes Maria is a botanist and horticulturist. And they were able to help many of the villages there. That's what a typical village looks like. They taught them how to plant crops, how they took trees with them, fruit trees. Unfortunately, there were some success and some not, mixed results. Some of the people had improved their gardens when they returned a year later and had implemented their suggestions, but some didn't. So that is an ongoing difficulty. All right, well, I didn't realize 15 minutes can go by so quickly. But Africa is an amazingly beautiful continent with so much potential and so many challenges. And your prayers are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for your warmth, and thank you so much for your support.